they already had the knowledge of triangles. They repeated for different figures, 3-sided, 4-sided, 5, 6. Now students themselves, they made the deduction between the number of sides of a polygon and the number of triangles formed. They concluded the formula, the sum of interior angles of a polygon of a side n is n minus 2 into 180 degree. It was not taught. The students stumbled upon it. Another big feature that we have incorporated in our lessons is mind mapping, definitely tending towards the creative abilities of the child. It's the best way to capture thoughts and bring them to life. We use a lot of mind maps or graphic organizers. It could be words, it could be graphics, it could be color, anything which works for that particular child. Now, some more strategies to get at creativity. Creativity is much more than the ability to draw a pretty picture. Flexibility, originality, and fluency are the three things that we were looking at. Now, flexibility. It involves approaching things in an alternative way from different viewpoints or perspectives. Now, what you see here is the students are learning disaster. They're learning man-made disaster. During the learning of man-made disaster, they discuss the flyover collapse which happened in Kolkata. Now, they're discussing that from three viewpoints: from the viewpoint of the government, from the company which made the flyover, and the media. Hot seating. They read an extract, they become the character of that extract. The students face who is the character. She or he faces an array of questions. The other one there is again, they were learning report writing. Now, while learning report writing, we had a press conference. One child becomes a public figure, the others become reporters. There's a lot of questioning back and forth. On question and answer, they learn to develop a new perspective. Another one, allowing students to teach each other. This we found was a very, very important element in bringing out the creativity in our students. I'll just share with you what happened 2 days back. A group of students were teaching another group endothermic reaction. The way they went about was they gave the learners a Vicks ki goli. The moment you put a Vicks inside, what happens? There's a feeling. They were asked to analyze the feeling. Students, they came out with the answer that the tongue, because the tongue is a little bit hot, it is sodium bicarbonate and something else. I'm not a science teacher, but they concluded that. It was a wonderful moment for me because I felt that our students have also understood what active teaching is, and if these students are going to be our next century teachers, we have our job sorted. Originality, very, very, very important part of creativity. Now, in originality, acceptance and respect is very vital. And when we're looking at originality, we need to understand that there will be mistakes. It cannot be foolproof. Often, as teachers, we have very, very high expectations.
Dr. Deepesh Chandrasekharan, developing critical language awareness among children for creative and critical thinking.
Standing between you and your lunch, right? I have the good fortune of being the last panelist. Good fortune I am saying, not in sarcasm, really, because I can sort of put it in perspective what the four ladies in terms of their content and in terms of the energy they brought to this morning. Now it's afternoon, so I'll say good afternoon to all of you. I'll quickly put it in context. Ma'am just introduced me as somebody who's teaching at a college, and having done a PhD in the area of critical pedagogy, critical thinking. I did my PhD working with students in school, so I'm not obsolete, I'm not irrelevant here. Why critical thinking? I think we need to put this in context first. What's the context today? Today we are living in a globalized world. We have people from Finland and Singapore right here, and so on. I mean, so it's a globalized world. Whatever is happening in one part of the world, in some way affects every one of us. So we cannot shut ourselves to what's happening across the world. There is, like the speakers in the morning in the inaugural said, there is a social media upsurge. Kids in our schools, in our classrooms, they are very well aware of what's happening. There is so much information coming through various sources, the internet, social media, messages which you get a poster with a line saying CMS is the best school in the world, quoted, and you'll have a picture of APJ Abdul Kalam, and it will be written as if APJ Kalam said that, right? So not to say that he might not have said that, but there is heavy need for critical thinking, because we are in a world where information is fed from left, right, and center, unverified information which can be just created by anybody with no effort, right? So the context is we are living in a globalized world. We are living in a digital world where there's so much information, and we need to sort of train our children, our students, to discern what part of this is fact and what part of this is opinion. 1. 2, everyone needs to have an opinion. We all need to have opinions on various things. You cannot sit, you're not in an island, you're not in a self-sustained island. You are in a world where you have to decide, you have to take sides, you have to decide whether this is good or bad. You have to make opinions. Now, it's one thing to make out what is fact and what is opinion. It's quite another to come to an opinion, to decide, okay, how am I going to decide this is the right way to go? To make informed opinions, we need critical thinking. So I think it's very important to first contextualize the fact that there is, first of all, need for critical thinking. What I'm going to do is going to deal with the area of critical language awareness, which is a specific area which originated in Europe, but it's there in South Africa, it's there in various parts. I used this awareness among the students in school to sort of develop their critical thinking. So what I'm going to tell you is how you can help even kids, even at the primary level, to discern fact from opinion, to discern and to decide how to create your own opinion. Now, when the child is faced with a text, when the child is faced with a text, what does the child do? What do we do when we get a text? We first consume the text. What I mean by consume the text is we just read the text, and what the writer wants to say to us, we say, yeah, this is probably right. So our broad tendency is to just accept what's written or what is seen in the visual text. Right? I would like to show you 3 images first before we move on.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. And a picture there yet again with Ms. Varsha Nayak for being here. A picture there with the convener and with our guest, Ms. Stella Fernandez. Next, we'd like to invite Ms. Sushma Rajkumar, our very own member of the City Montessori School family. Thank you, Ms. Sushma, for that wonderful presentation and for being a part of the 8th ICPPP 2017. And I should think it's time for a picture yet again There you are. Thank you so much, Mrs. Rajkumar. And a unique participant for the first panel, Dr. Dipesh Chandrasekharan. And you were not a villain among the angels, as you mentioned, needless to say. Thank you for your kind participation, sir, and for your wonderful deliberation. Thank you for being a part of the 8th International Conference of the Pre-Primary and Primary Principals 2017. Time for a picture there with the convener of the conference and our guest, and participant, Ms. Stella Fernandez. And we have more members joining in, members of the Innovation Wing of City Montessori School. Thank you, one, and thank you all. I now invite the convener of the conference, respected Mrs. Sushmita Basu, to make further announcements.
Thank you, Stella, for doing.
There is no well-defined academic audit to establish the learning outcomes. In the current times, collaborative learning provides the most important structures of realistic education necessary to develop a socially, economically, politically, and environmentally conscious democratic society. Excerpts from the session, Leadership and Collaborative Learning. The keynote session by Ms. Stella Fernandez on the creative classrooms.
Abhishini, another girl, said, I will help her. And she went forward. I said, okay, carry on. And Davishini is not the best girl in my class or the brightest girl, I'm telling you. She's just also having learning difficulties. But I will help her, she said. And she went to help this little girl. After some time, as I was teaching, I saw Davishini doing her work. And this little girl was nicely closing her eyes. I got a shock of my life. I said, oh my, Ashley, what are you doing? Aren't you, I gave you someone to help you. Why aren't you doing your work? Come on, you can do it. You will be able to do it. She's helping you. So she opened her eyes, and she looked at me like that, stared at me, and she took the pencil and she started to do. And she did it. She did not show me her work, but she had finished her work. But in a few seconds, I saw her in front of me. And you know what she had? She had a slip of paper. And on it is written, I love you. I got a shock. You see, when you can get the child, a child who is not performing, to just a little higher, they appreciate you. And that's the joy of being a teacher. I did not expect that kind of behavior, but it taught me that what I do with them is very important for them. It may not be important for me, but the effort, the internal feeling of that child is much, much more than you can ever imagine.
Ms. Neeta Ganguly from the Environment Labs spoke on making environment consciousness a part of collaborative learning.
No, I'm not going to take it. I refuse. I reuse. I recycle. I rethink. Then only you say you're environmental conscious, because you're not thinking about your need, but you're thinking about the non-human need. And that's what is important. So in the field of environmental science, which is an interdisciplinary field as it incorporates information and innovative ideas from multiple disciplines, is a valuable resource for learning more about these changes and how it affects the world we live in. I'll take you 16 years back, 2000, when just a room was given to me and I was asked to create an environmental lab, like you have a physics, chemistry, and bio lab, just the walls. And then I had to think about, what do I do over there? This is the place where there were no books introduced. No typical syllabus was introduced. It was a student and teacher, where the teacher was a student and the student was a teacher also. This was a creative setup for us where we used to talk about the problems, discuss the problems, and bring out a solution collaboratively. Here, everybody was a leader. That's the lab we created. And to create any lab, you need some sort of a material. So what is this? Can you tell me what is this? Loud. A garbage bin. Anybody else? Any other name? Trash can. Any other name? Any other name? Biodegradable? Okay, fine. Let's take it as green, blue, red, pink. I just put a can there. All right? But I like your thinking. All right? I like the way you've thought about it. I call it a transit resource bin because that was my resource. I have a lab. I've got the walls. I have to start some business over there.
Mr. J.B. Singh from South Africa put forth the South African perspective on the topic.
Doctor from Chennai, it seems I'm the only thorn amongst the roses. I don't know what's the intention, Mrs. Basu. Today I'm going to ask you a question. And I have sweets, which I will share with you. When you think about BMW, what comes to mind? If you want, I don't have sweets for all. I'm serious, I do have sweets. Yes, sir. Expensive car, luxury car, dependable. Yes. Ms. Ranjini Singh, please. Are you present? Sir, if you go to my seat out there, you'll find a bag at the bottom. There's a packet of sweets. You can have it. Okay, please. I do have sweets. And those are sweets all the way, chocolates from South Africa. Of course, when we think about the BMW, we think about an expensive car, a safe car, a luxurious car, an excellent car that we can depend upon. When we think about Emirates, I flew in the other night on Emirates Airline. What do we think about? Excellent airline, dependable, safe. Well, I've had no problems with Emirates. And of course, if my wife was with me, she'll be thinking duty-free. You think about the IPL in India, and we get them back at home on television. You think about cricket, excitement, excellence, etc. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these are corporate brandings. When we think of our school, what do we think about? It's something that we all need to look at very, very carefully. What does the community think about our schools? Last week, I was in the supermarket. I go there after school to get the bread, etc., and then go home. And we are all compelled to wear name badges in our workplace and even outside the school. So a gentleman came up to me, an elderly gentleman. He looked at my badge. He said, "Mr. Singh, Principal, Stanger High School." He said, "Wow, you guys have excellent results. Well done." And then it struck me. Without me knowing, I've got a branding already. Good results. We have good discipline. And we have good sporting facilities. We have 28 hectares of land which is used for sport at my school.
Ms. Shamim Singh from City Montessori School, Mahanagar First Campus, spoke about her experience on collaborative learning, which she practices at her campus.
But there are certain things we would like to discuss how it is being done at our campus. So maybe go on to the next slide, please. Collaborative learning is an educational approach to teaching and learning that involves groups of students working together to solve a problem, complete a task, or create a product, which could be a model, a science model, a film, a documentary. During this intellectual gymnastics, the learners creates framework and meaning to the discourse. There was a video I had to play up, but due to paucity of time, I'm going to skip that because most of you already know what collaborative learning is and how it is practiced in our classes. Maybe move on to the next slide, please. If you want to extend the range of teaching and learning styles in your classroom, if you want to stretch the minds of the gifted and talented students in your classroom, if you want to make the curriculum more accessible and easy, if you want to improve the social skills of your students, collaborative learning is the edge over other learning tools because it is a 21st century skill and there is no way we can do without it. Collaborative learning, as far as the students are concerned, is done in a way that students are involved in activities designed to explore the course material instead of by being presented to them by the teacher. The students themselves do the spade work and the research work, and then they come back to us, and we as teachers guide them how to go about it instead of telling them or teaching them. Next slide, please. In classrooms, teachers do not regard themselves as experts but co-learners. Next slide. Both teachers and students interact and combine their intellectual efforts to attempt to understand, explore and solve issues, generate ideas and create a collective product together. Like I said before, when we have to do an assignment where we have to assess whether a child has actually understood or actually has learned something, we need to go deeper. We just can't stick on, okay, like, this is the lesson I've taught and these are the marks I've given. There was a video, but I skipped that because people have already talked about it. Can we have the next slide? The collaborative learning activities at Mahanagar campus are as follows. Model class presentations. The class presentations are a USP of the City Montessori family, and every student is made to speak on the stage. Every student is given a part to speak in order to make them overcome the stage fear. Every student, however mild or shy, is given an opportunity to showcase his or her innate talents.
The session concluded with the honoring of the panelists of the session. A cultural evening for the guests was organized at the state-of-the-art new CMS Gomtinagar Second Campus Auditorium. The chief guest for the occasion, Mr. G.S. Priyadarshi, IAS District Magistrate, was welcomed by the CMS management.
Dispel the darkness. May I request our President, Professor Geeta Gandhi Kingdon, our Director of Strategy, all up. May I request CMS principals to kindly help the delegates in the lighting.
Founder Manager of City Montessori School, Dr. Jagdish Gandhi, introduced the chief guest to the august guests.
Priyadarshi ji, the very prominent IAS officer and very famous District Magistrate of Lucknow, very popular District Magistrate of Lucknow. We feel honored to have Shri Gauri Shankar Priyadarshi, IAS District Magistrate Lucknow, as our most honored chief guest today. In his distinguished administrative career, spanning over a decade and a half, Shri Gauri Shankar Priyadarshi has earned a deserving reputation of being the most successful administrator with excellent efficiency and dynamism. Born on 10th of July 1972, Shri Gauri Shankar Priyadarshi remained a brilliant student throughout his academic career and joined the prestigious Indian Administrative Service IAS in the year 2002.
As much as teachers should nurture students to become true human beings by inculcating values in their teaching in the classroom, teachers too need guidance from time to time. Chief guest Mr. G.S. Priyadarshi rendered oath to vote to the congregation of adults and said, A World Parliament was conducted on the topic 21st Century Learners. Watch on.
मुझे सबसे पहले तो इस कार्यक्रम में आने की बहुत खुशी है, वो इसलिए कि इस जो वर्तमान में मैं पोजीशन होल्ड कर रहा हूँ, इससे पहले मैं बेसिक एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट को ही देख रहा था एज स्पेशल सेक्रेटरी, और वहाँ मुझे ये प्री प्राइमरी, प्राइमरी, अर्ली ग्रेड रीडिंग वगैरह वगैरह में मैं आई यूज्ड टू बी वेरी मच इन्वॉल्व्ड, एंड मुझे अभी भी लगता है कि वो मेरा इंटरेस्ट अभी बरकरार है। तो जब गांधी जी ने मुझे बताया कि इस तरीके की कॉन्फ्रेंस होने वाली है, तो मेरा आधा मन तो इस तरीके से था कि मैं डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट हूँ, उससे ज़्यादा मन इसलिए था क्योंकि मैंने इस विभाग को देखा है और बड़ा प्यार था उस विभाग में और बड़ा कुछ करने का स्कोप था। आई डोंट नो what exactly will be discussed in the conference. I really don't know. But my guess is that something which is really, which is really useful for the early grade reading, for the small children, that will be discussed. Some doable points will be told. I'm not in the department, but I'm sure if any of these suggestions will be given to me, which come out of this conference, which can be implemented in the district of Lucknow, that lead we would like to take. That would be one of the, takeaways for us from this conference.
Pleasure to add my own very warm gratitude and thanks to Mr. G.S. Priyadarshi for his very kind presence here this evening. Frankly, I'm amazed that you were able to come here this evening, given that you've been up working from 8 o'clock in the morning and in meetings in an election month. It is absolutely, astounding that you could be here. And also, the fact that you've been special education, special secretary for basic education, the fact that you were also, I believe, the state project director of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, you've got a grasp of issues. I was sitting in a meeting once with the chief advisor to the chief minister, and Mr. Priyadarshi was there also, and it was really impressive to see that, whereas of course I'm a university professor and I do research on economics of education, so it's quite natural that I should have data. But here was Mr. Priyadarshi. He had come up very well equipped with all the information and data relating to education in the state of Uttar Pradesh, which of course I've worked with so many education secretaries, not just in Uttar Pradesh, but in many other states of India, and it was thoroughly impressive.
The entire enterprise of education is linked with values, and these values are integral to human beings. At CMS, human values and spiritual directions are inculcated in students through these uniquely designed programs: All Religions Prayer, World Peace Prayer, the Qawwali.
A small archipelago of Seychelles has 33 schools that can boast of making a niche in the history of education in Africa, as it has a remarkable 94% of children who are educated. But sadly, this is the only part of Africa which can boast of being so. The responsibility of making Seychelles educated has been undertaken by the government of Seychelles, where 30 of the 33 schools have been established by the government, and only 3 are private schools which cater to provide higher and expensive education to the aspiring. I am giving out this data to elucidate my point that education is what education does, which is it makes a better person out of all it touches. It has been the desire of our parents to see us educated, which has brought us to the portals of our schools and colleges. Excuses are the weapons of weak. It is not always the fault of the system or the government, but like our parents, every parent must have the desire to see his child educated. We believe in setting examples, because if Seychelles can do it, then the whole of Africa can.
Indeed, you should be a role model and idol for the nations, including the entire continent of Africa. Yes, representative from England. I can see you have something to share with us.
Speaker, madam, my concern is that I want to be heard as a student, and my opinion is that as most of the schools all over the world have made education so rote bound that the voice that every student has and would like to express herself with is confined within the walls of no-nos. Although this is not what I have to face, as I am fortunate to have a school which has a pupil senate, where my school gives us the opportunity to voice our opinions through this pupil senate, as long as we are serious and sensible about what we would like to change. I was consulted about my intention to start a debating society at the school.
चलो गुड़िया, अब सो जाओ। इतनी देर तक टीवी नहीं देखते। वैसे क्या देख रही हो जो इतना परेशान हो रही हो?
माँ, देखो, लोग अपने अपने भगवान के लिए लड़ रहे हैं। उठा मैं तेरी शरण में ही मेरे परमेश्वर
तेरे पास में. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
I am a world citizen. I represent all the countries of the world. I therefore stand before you all, impressing upon the importance of unity. There are no boundaries that separate us and no barriers that prevent us from realizing that the earth truly is but one country and mankind its citizens. It is therefore time to rise above our differences and discover the world citizen in each one of us to accomplish the goal of unity and solidarity. I pray for the happiness of all the people of the world. May unity prevail on earth.
civilization, Asia has always been a land of mystery and charm, inhabited by all races of the world. It has been blessed with varied natural resources that help sustain life on earth. I pray for the happiness of all the people of Asia. May unity be in all the countries of Asia. May unity prevail on earth.
Known as the land of the Aztec warriors and Mayan Indians, South America has been a delightful canvas of the prehistoric way of life to the modern vivacity of its culture. The South American rainforest, being the lungs of the earth, sustain the delicate balance of life on earth. I pray for the happiness of all the people of South America. May unity prevail in all the countries of South America. May unity prevail on earth.
Listen to the sound of the breeze. Listen to the sound of the ocean. Listen to the sound of the breeze. Listen to the sound of the chirping birds. They all live in harmony. Let all the world be united. Let all the world be free. Let all the world sing together. Sing the song of unity.
The citizens of India, having abiding faith in democracy, hereby pledge to uphold the democratic traditions of our country and the dignity of free, fair and peaceful elections, and to vote in every election fearlessly and without being influenced by considerations of religion, race, caste, community, language or any inducement. Thank you.
अपनी जन्नत को खुदा के लिए दोज़ख न बना, अपनी जन्नत को खुदा के लिए दोज़ख न बना, अपनी जन्नत को खुदा के लिए दोज़ख न बना, अपने माँ बाप का तू दिल न दुखा, अपने माँ बाप का तू दिल न दुखा, अपने माँ बाप का तू दिल न दुखा, मेरे मालिक मेरे आका
Day 2 of the International Conference of Pre-Primary and Primary Principals 2017 began with the school prayer by the school choir of City Montessori School, Mahanagar First Campus. Founder-manager of City Montessori School, Dr. Jagdish Gandhi spoke on role and goal of quality education in the 21st century.
This is my head, this is my feet, this is my body. But who am I? I am not a head, nor a hand, nor a feet, or nor nose or face. I am different from what I am. I am a different being. And what is the difference? I am a soul. And this is, what is this instrument? This instrument, that is body, has been given to me when God created me. He gave me two things. One is the soul that is within me, and another is the body, which is like a machine, a thinking machine. It has, so many things. It has eyes. With that, you can see the world. God has given us ears by which we can listen to others. And God has given a heart. It is a storehouse of God Himself, the teachings of God. And He has given hands to work for. So first of all, we should know why God has created us and what He has given. He has created us for His own work. He wants His work to be done by us. So He has created us. And He has given us two things, the body and the soul. Now, four very important things have been given by God in this body, in this instrument, in this machine. Eyes. God says, "Thine eye is my trust. Suffer not the dust of vain desire to becloud its luster. Thine ear," तेरे जो कान है, "thine ear is the sign of my bounty. Let not the tumult of unseemly motives turn it away from my word. Thine heart is my treasury. Allow not the treacherous sense of the self to rob thee of the pearls that are treasured therein. Thine hand is a symbol or my loving kindness hinder it not from holding fast unto my guarded and hidden tablet. So every organ that God has fitted in this machine has a purpose. Eyes have been given to us, and eye is my trust. So we should not suffer the dust of vain desire to becloud its luster. If we have vain desires, then what will happen? These eyes will not be helpful to us. Ears have been given to us to listen to the music of the God. An ear is a sign of my bounty. Let not the tumult of unseemly motives turn it away from my word. But if we have unseemly motives, because now the days of idol worship are ended, motives of purity supported by deeds of stainless purity will be considered as worship of God. So ear is a sign of my bounty. Let not the tumult of unseemly motives turn it away from my word. The whole thing God says is to man, listen to my voice, listen to my words, so that you are benefited, so that I can help you, so that you can be successful, so that you can be happy. So listen to me. And then he says, then heart is my treasury. I have given my heart to you. But this is my treasury. All the good things I have stored in your heart. All my good teachings, all the good teachings, they are mentioned here in Bhagavad Gita, in Tripatak, in Holy Bible, in Quran, in Guru Granth Sahib, in Kitab-e-Aqdas. All these holy teachings I have stored in your heart. Good teachings of God, which have sent by me to various manifestations of God. I am alone. I have sent everything. All the teachings have come from one God.
ICPPP 2017 paper presentations, a curtain raiser.
The case study is off the observation feedback. The next slide, please. Yeah. We will be looking at why did we go on for peer observation and feedback, the process that we went through, the learnings and observations we had at the end of the process, and what have we decided for the future with respect to the same case study. Now, we already have a very well-planned curriculum in our school. For every subject, every lesson is divided into 5 A's: aim, analysis, application,